Greetings, we'll cover a few details about Alfred Nobel and his life in a succinct manner. Here is a short rundown of his early years, education, career, persona, notable works, Nobel Prize, memorials and legacy, demise. Swedish chemist, engineer, inventor, businessman, and philanthropist Alfred Bernhard Nobel. Though he had 355 patents during his lifetime, he is best remembered for having left his riches to create the Nobel Prize, in addition to making other significant scientific achievements. Nobel's most well-known creation, dynamite, which was invented in 1867, was a safer and simpler way to harness the explosive force of nitroglycerin. Also known as Alfred Bernhard Nobel, famous as Swedish chemist, born October 21, 1833, Stockholm, Sweden. Died December 10, 1896, San Remo, Italy. Father, Emmanuel Nobel. Mother, Carolina Andriette. Siblings, Emil, Ludwig, Robert. Spouse, never married. Place of burial, Norra begravningsplatsen, Solna, Sweden. Discoveries, inventions, dynamite. On October 21, 1833, Alfred Nobel was born in Stockholm, Kingdoms of Sweden and Norway. He was the third child of inventor and engineer Emmanuel Nobel, 1801–1872, and Carolina Andriette Nobel. The couple had 8 kids after being married in 1827. Only Alfred and his 3 brothers lived into childhood due to the family's poverty. Alfred Nobel, who descended from the Swedish scientist Olaus Rudbeck, 1630–1722, through his father, was fascinated by engineering, especially explosives, and at a young age learned the fundamentals from him. Alfred Nobel inherited his father's fascination with technology, who graduated from Stockholm's Royal Institute of Technology. After experiencing numerous business failures, Nobel's father relocated to St. Petersburg, Russia, where he found success as a producer of explosives and machine equipment. He began work on the torpedo, while also developing the veneer lathe, which allowed for the manufacture of contemporary plywood. The family moved to the city with him in 1842. Now financially secure, Nobel's parents could afford to pay for private tutors, and the young man did exceptionally well in school, particularly in chemistry and languages, where he became fluent in English, French, German, and Russian. Nobel attended the only school he ever attended as a child for 18 months, from 1841 to 1842, in Stockholm. Swedish, French, Russian, English, German, and Italian became Nobel's native languages. He acquired the necessary literary skills to compose English poems. A prose tragedy in 4 acts, called his Nemesis, is about the Italian aristocrat Beatrice Cenci. Even though it was printed while he was dying, all but 3 copies of the stock were burned after his death because they were thought to be scandalous and profane. It was released in Sweden in 2003, and has since been translated into French, Italian, Spanish, Slovene, and other languages. After completing his schooling, he started working in his father's factory. His brother Ludwig took over management of the plant in 1859, and it prospered during his tenure. Alfred experimented extensively with nitroglycerin, a very explosive substance, because he had a profound interest in investigating explosives. 5 persons were killed in the horrific accident that occurred at the shed where nitroglycerin was being prepared, including Emil, his younger brother. Nobel began concentrating more on creating explosives that were less dangerous than nitroglycerin. He discovered via repeated experimentation that nitroglycerin was safer to use and easier to manage when coupled with an absorbent inert material. When dynamite was first patented in 1867, it was widely used in mining all around the world. It was the first explosive that could be handled safely and was more powerful than black powder. He kept experimenting with nitroglycerin, creating a transparent, jelly-like substance that was more explosive than dynamite by combining it with nitrocellulose compounds. It was patented in 1876, with the name gelignite. For mining purposes, lignite was more stable and ideal. He was able to accumulate a lot of wealth, because to this invention. His brothers built prosperous and successful businesses, by using the Caspian Sea oil fields. Nobel also made investments in their company and amassed enormous wealth. He created a smokeless propellant with 10% camphor, that was comprised of nitrocellulose and nitroglycerin. This combination, known as ballastite, was granted a patent in 1887. At 1888, his brother Ludwig passed away in Cannes. A French publication incorrectly reported Alfred Nobel's passing as the Merchant of Death, confusing him for his more well-known brother. Alfred was shocked to learn that this would be how people would remember him after he died. He left a significant percentage of his enormous riches to establish an international award fund honoring notable individuals in the disciplines of physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, and work in peace because he wanted to do something to repair his reputation. His final will, dated November 27, 1895, served as the foundation for the award. In 1901, the first Nobel Awards were given out. He proposed to a Russian girl named Alexandra, but she declined. He later fell in love with Bertha Kinsky, his secretary, and they were close friends until his passing. In 1876, he first met Sophie Hess, with whom he would have a relationship for the next 18 years. He was a loner, who experienced episodes of despair. He was never married or had children. Dynamite, a powerful explosive that he created, is still used today in building, mining, and warfare. Nitroglycerin and other absorbent materials are used to make dynamite, which is unstable and dangerous to generate. Ballastite and gelignite are other explosives that he developed. By giving a significant portion of his money to create an international prize fund to recognize excellent accomplishments in numerous diverse sectors of science and the arts, he established the groundwork for the creation of the Nobel Prizes. Due to the passing of his brother Ludwig, some publications mistakenly published obituaries for Alfred in 1888. It is claimed that a French newspaper's criticism of him for developing military explosives instead of dynamite, which was primarily utilized for civilian applications, led to his resolve to leave a better legacy after his death. The obituary began, "The Merchant of Death is dead," and continued, "Dr. Alfred Nobel, who grew wealthy by devising methods to murder more people more quickly than ever before, died yesterday." When Nobel read the obituary, he was horrified to learn how people will remember him. At least in part, his choice to posthumously contribute the majority of his riches to establish the Nobel Prize has been attributed to his desire to leave a better legacy. The majority of Nobel's inheritance was set aside in his last will and testament, which he signed at the Swedish Norwegian Club in Paris, on November 27, 1895. The Nobel Prizes were to be given each year without regard to a recipient's country. The 5 Nobel Prizes were established with 94% of Nobel's total assets, or 31,225,000 Swedish kronor, after taxes and bequests to individuals. The first 3 prizes are given for outstanding achievement in the fields of physics, chemistry, and medicine or physiology. The 4th prize is given for literary work in an ideal direction, and the 5th prize is given to the individual or group who has contributed the most to international fraternity, by suppressing or reducing standing armies or by establishing or advancing peace congresses. The vague language used to describe the literary award, which is granted for a work in an ideal path, has led to a lot of misunderstanding. The Swedish Academy utilized the notion that ideal meant idealistic for many years as an excuse to deny the prize to significant but less romantic authors, like Henrik Ibsen and Leo Tolstoy. In 1968, to honor Alfred Nobel, the Nobel Foundation received a sizable donation from Sweden's central bank, Sveriges Riksbank, to establish a sixth prize in the subject of economics. Peter Nobel, born in 1931, Alfred Nobel's great-great-nephew, requested in 2001 that the Bank of Sweden distinguish between the 6 awards granted to economists and the one awarded in Alfred Nobel's memory. This request increased the debate on the validity of the Bank of Sweden Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel. Along the Bolshaya Nevka River, on the Petrogradskaya embankment stands St. Petersburg's Alfred Nobel Monument. To commemorate the 90th anniversary of the first awarding of the Nobel Prize, it was dedicated in 1991. The monument was first proposed by Professor Arkady Milua and diplomat Thomas Bertelmann, 1989. Professor Milua has contributed funding to build the memorial, 1990 to 1991. Local artists Sergei Alipov and Pavel Shevchenko created the abstract metal artwork, which resembles an explosion or tree branches. The Nobel family resided on Petrogradskaya embankment until 1859. Nobel relocated from Paris to San Remo, Italy, in 1891 after being charged with high treason against France for exporting ballastite to Italy. He passed away as a result of a stroke on December 10, 1896. Unbeknownst to his family, he had placed the majority of his assets in trust to support the Nobel Prize payouts. He is interred in Stockholm's Norra begravningsplatsen.